Chapter 21. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 21. A game shop. The boy who was being attacked by Lexa had suddenly froze into an ice statue. As she poured water on him, she immediately froze him with her ice ability. The bullies who had seen this, got angry and they decided to teach Lexa a lesson. One of the men started advancing towards her, and when he was at a breathing space from her, he shouted to her face. "And who the hell do you think you are?" one of the men challenged her. "Who gave you the authority over us?" The man was about to hit her that a bolt of lightning came hitting him from behind. Everyone was stunned as they saw this, and swiftly, they felt the gust of wind swept past their cheeks. Before they knew it, Lexa was encased into a lightning bolt and had disappeared from the area. "Where did she went to?" the men said after coming to their senses. They hurriedly went outside the canteen as they started searching around for her. Dan and his siblings were silent and were a bit amazed as they saw what had happened clearly. Kevin had rescued Lexa with his lightning magic. But one thing kept on surprising Dan, and that was how Kevin was able to have such a powerful magic called lightning. Lightning magic is a special magic that was said to be the strongest of all other magics. And it was said that only the strongest could possess such a powerful magic as that. It was a wonder to Dan, how Kevin could have such a magic. "I think I've been underestimating this guy's potential," Dan said. Kevin had finally stopped in front of a building, after walking a distance away from the canteen, out of the sight of the bullies. His hands were holding on to Lexa's hands tightly as he swiftly ran out of the canteen. Since the lasting time for the lightning cloak is 5 minutes, he quickly cancelled the skill and stopped in front of one of the school's building. "We've lost them for now," Kevin said as he looked at his right and left before cancelling his lightning cloak skill. "Are you alright?" he asked as he released his grip on Lexa's hands. "Yeah, sure. Thanks to you," Lexa replied as she held on to the hands that Kevin had held previously. She felt something as she touched those hands of Kevin. But she wasn't sure of what it is as their hands parted from each other. She wanted to hold his hands again to see what that thing is, but she knew it would look suspicious if she suddenly grabbed Kevin's hands. "There's no need thanking me, I just decided to help out," Kevin said, smiling. "Okay, Lexa replied, thinking of what to say to prolong their discussion. "So your magic is lightning?" "Yes, it is," Kevin abruptly answered. "You must be a strong guy to be able to learn it." "I guess I am." Kevin tried to follow up with her discussion without raising suspicions from her. "It's not so hard to learn, you just have to put your mind into it. I think I'll try learning it too. It will be best if I can have that as my second magic. I had plans to learn fire, ice, and water, but after I saw how powerful lightning magic would be to have, especially when I saw how you used it, I think I'll learn it in place of water. Since we can only learn 2 types of magic, I'll consider removing water magic and have lightning and ice magic," Lexa explained. "That's nice," Kevin commented. He was able to gain an idea of how things worked in the academy. So every mage was able to learn 2 magics at most. And for those who aren't able to learn any magic, they can either learn martial arts or swordsmanship or just learn spells and become wizards. He wanted to know more about how this world works, maybe going into the library later would help him. "So where are you heading to right now?" Lexa questioned Kevin. "I think I'll be heading for the martial arts hall just as Dan had directed." "Why do you want to go there when you already have a strong magic?" Lexa said. "That place is full of elves who couldn't learn any ability. You elves are the problem of all mages. You're the ones who always lag behind. Your magic usually comes around when you get to 18. But you, Dan and some others are different. At least you have a magic at 15, it is quite a rare occurrence." Kevin thought as much. He could see many elves going around with swords and never for once saw them use fire magic or something. Well, he thought maybe it was because he had never saw them fight. He really need to learn more about the history of elves and fairies. There are some things he didn't know about them and would love to know. The thing is, I want to learn how to fight with fists and if possible learn swordsmanship also. It'll help with my defense and control of magic. Kevin replied. Wow, that's nice. Lexa commented. Most of the elves I know having magic do not bother learning swordsmanship or martial arts, that's the more reason why I said you are so special. She smiled as she glanced at Kevin's face. Thanks for the compliment. Come on, I know somewhere you could go. Follow me, I'll take you there. Lexa said and Kevin quickly followed. After walking for a few distance, they finally got to the front of a game shop. Kevin could see some students in front of a counter paying some amount to the person inside the counter. Come on, let's fight some dudes. Lexa said as she walked towards the counter. The person inside the counter was an old man with gray hairs on his head and his beard was also gray in color. Hello, welcome to the Mage Game Shop, what would you like to do? We have various game arenas including swordsmanship arena, martial arts arena, mixed arena, and magic arena. You can rent a VR pod for an hour to 3 or as long as you want, just as long as you can pay. Chapter 22 You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 22. A question, how much is the rent for 2 hours, for the two of us? Lexa asked. 5 credits per hour, for the two of you, it's 20 credits. You have the money with you. Kevin had heard from their homeroom teacher at their access cards will be credited with 10 credits automatically every day. Students only received 10 credits a day as an allowance but that didn't stop their parents from sending them extra money while they were in school. The richer students were free to spend and buy whatever they liked and they were usually the stronger ones as well. But the poor students had no other choice but to spend their 10 credits as little as they can. Although the food in the academy is free, there's not actually much to spend money on, other than evening snacks and drinks. But Kevin is not that kind of person who eats anyhow. Perhaps he could gather up about 100 credits and use it to buy a sword and any other weapon. But there's a matter he needs to take care of presently and his credits will be spent on it. I wouldn't have done this, I just don't want to seem embarrassing to Lexa who brought me all the way here. At least she was trying to help out, but I must pay 10 credits to some game I don't know about. Kevin forcefully brought out his card from his pocket. The old man had a device that registers every student's access card when they are to pay for something. Kevin took out his card but before he could even give the man, Lexa had quickly given the old man hers. Dovico, everything? The man asked. Yeah, everything. Kevin blinked in confusion but had immediately came to his senses. You're paying for everything. 20 credits. Kevin asked. Don't be ridiculous, I'm paying for you as a friend. And besides, I have a lot of credits with me. Lexa said and then she moved closer to Kevin and whispered into his ears. My parents sends 2,000 credits to me every week. Kevin's jaws dropped as he heard what Lexa just told him. He closed his mouth as he swallowed in and stared at Lexa. He was speechless on what to say. How can someone's parents be so rich to send their daughter 2,000 credits every week? So, what Reed and Zoe told him were true, Lexa's parents are so rich. But as Kevin thought of this, his stomach churned angrily as he realized that his father was just a wizard with no wealth or that thing called money. Why am I so unlucky to be his child? I wish I was born into a rich and wealthy family like Lexa's. I would have the world at my feet if I could at least be a prince, yeah. Kevin smiled to himself, but he suddenly felt a tug on his arm. Hey, what are you thinking about, let's go inside. Lexa pulled the sleeve of his uniform as he dragged him into the game shop. Enjoy the game. The old man said. They got inside the game shop and Xin could see all sorts of game machines and devices. Right on one corner were dozens of a chair-like machine located. They looked just like an office chair, comfortable for people to sit on and rest peacefully. You see that chair? Lexa pointed at the chair in front of them and Kevin who was anticipating to know what it was, shifted his gaze to the chair. That's a VR capsule. We'll be sitting on it if we have to play a VR game. It's like a chair-like game device. Yeah, I guessed you haven't played a VR game before and it seems like I was right. It's not really sold to the public, so only the military and wealthy families who could afford it had it with them. Humph, like your family. Kevin knew that Lexa's parents would be able to afford to buy such a device as this, since they are the number 2 most richest family in the city. You're right, my father bought it for 2 million credits. 2 million credits. Kevin exclaimed surprisingly. It's crazy, right? I heard it's from the human world and the price is really high over there. But my father said that our scientists here are making plans of creating something like that. If it's successful, we won't have to be buying VRs from those humans anymore. Talking about humans reminded Kevin of his state. He was wondering how he became an human when his father was an elf and his mother was also an elf. Something doesn't seem so right at that point. Did his mother by any chance cheated on his father? That made Kevin ask Lexa a question. Lexa, I have a question to ask you. Thanks for the power stones, guys. Let's get to the top 200. Please support with your golden tickets also. I'll try and do a mass release of 5 chapters soon. Chapter 23. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 23. People I must protect. You want to ask me a question. Go on. Lexa replied, wondering what Kevin was about to ask her. This is just an assumption. You may think I'm crazy, but it's just an assumption from me. Okay, I'm all ears. Lexa said, crossing her arms. Is it possible for a parent elf to give birth to a human child? I mean, the father is an elf, the mother is also an elf, I think. But the child is a human. Is that really possible? Kevin asked. For a moment after he asked the question, Lexa was silent as if she was thinking about something, but she surprised Kevin when she started laughing boisterously. Seriously, oh my God, Kevin, you're crazy. How in the world is that possible? 2 elf parents giving birth to a human child. That's hilarious. I didn't know you're such a joker, Kevin. Hey wait, I'm seriously not joking here. It is something I saw. The parents were elves and the child was a human. Kevin tried to act serious. For real, Lexa laughed again. See, I would say it's either of these 2 things. Perhaps the mother or father wasn't a real elf but a fake who used magic to hide his true identity, or maybe the wife cheated on the husband by meeting up with a male human and the child happened to be a human in the end. So, it's either one of the parents is a human or the wife cheated on the husband. Kevin summarized. Yeah, but who are those people? Are they living in the city? I doubt people would have raised suspicions if they are to assume what we assumed right now. They would have been killed for being a human, and I'm sure that if by chance one of them is still alive, perhaps the human wife or human child, they probably would be hiding right now. Hiding. Kevin said as he recalled that he has been hiding all his life in the forest with his father. Perhaps his mother was really a human and was killed by the elves, and his father had no choice but to take him far away from everyone to keep him safe. He couldn't return to the city because he has been labeled a traitor because of him and his mother. His father must have been sad seeing him escape after years of protecting him from harm. Kevin had felt really bad from running away from home. He couldn't imagine how sad and angry his father would have been to see that he had escaped from the forest. Perhaps his father had even thought he was killed by the elves. I'm really a bad child. He was about to cry, but he quickly held it back to not make Lexa feel suspicious about him. Are you okay? She asked, and Kevin nodded that he was all right. Did you really not know where those people are living? I'm talking about the human guys you were talking about. Shouldn't we report them or something? No, they are people I must protect at all cost. I can't report them. Kevin said, raising his voice although it was almost shaky. Are you really alright, Kevin? Your voice sounds weak, she asked again. Let's continue with the game, the 2 hours will soon be over." He immediately sat in the VR capsule and a relaxing feeling came upon him. "Is this chair always this comfortable? I feel like sleeping off," Kevin said as he let a sigh. Lexa was standing behind the capsule that was beside Kevin's own. She was wondering what was wrong with Kevin. "He's acting a bit strange after mentioning the human parents and child. Perhaps he's just worried about them." She came into conclusion as she also hopped into the capsule to start the game. "Hey, it's time," she said, and Kevin had opened his eyes. "This is a VR game, it is different from the game arenas that the old man mentioned earlier. In fact, lots of students prefers to fight in the VR capsule than to go to arenas. The arenas are fun, but you could get killed because it's a reality game. But in this VR, you can play it without getting hurt. It's a popular game that is mostly played in the human world. Although there are differences between the two because humans have their own powers and we have magic. So our scientists kinda do something to the VR so it could adapt to our own body system. The game is simple, it gives you an open empty room that you and your opponent will have a fight until one loses. Although it sounds simple, the game itself is used to help people train. The VR capsule can record all the features of your body. And anything you do in the real world can also be done in the game, but the only thing that it can't do is record your magic," Lexa explained. "Thanks for the power stones, guys, let's get to the top 200. Please support with your golden tickets also. Mass release will begin tomorrow." Chapter 24. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 24. Username Keveling, Mass Release. 1st chapter of Mass Release. The next thing we'll be doing is logging into the game by placing the headset first. Lexa explained further. "Listen, Kevin, once you've placed the headset, you'll be shown a system tab that will direct you on how the game will be played. You should create an account and search for the name Lexlord. I would have sent you a request, accept it so I could teach you more about how the game works. Don't start a game tutorial, it will take long before it ends." "Okay." Lexa picked up the headset, placed it on her head, and Kevin had also done the same thing. The headset covered their heads and eyes, so as Kevin firstly placed the headset on his head, everything had gone dark in an instant. But he could hear a beeping sound of the VR headset that was about to come online. Suddenly, Kevin had found himself in a white room. Everywhere was so bright, so it take a little while before his eyes got adapted to the surroundings. As he slowly opened his eyes, he noticed that he was in some kind of white room with no shelves or furniture. Not even a single thing was found. Kevin could also see that his full body was in the room. He was in his uniform and he could move around just like in real life. "Wow, this is awesome," he said as he threw a few punches into the air and saw that he was able to do so well. After seeing that he was able to throw punches like in real life, he wondered if he could use his lightning magic. He was attempting to test it out until a voice sounded from nowhere. He could guess that it was the VR game system. Just like his system does, the VR game also displayed a notification bar above his view. Only that the notification bar was a bit far from his face, it is not as close to his eyes as his system was. "Welcome user, please create your account." Before you could continue, "Do you wish to proceed?" Kevin had instantly said yes, and the VR beeped again. "Account has been created with school name successfully, please complete your profile, name. Ray Kevin, username. Level 1, Magic. Unable to detect, choose the magic of your choice in the Magic tab section. What username should I use?" Kevin wondered as he thought of something unique he could use. "I'm not good in selecting names, but I think Keveling will be better." Kevin, the Trilling. Keveling. Successful, you have created a username, Keveling, proceeding to the game. After waiting a few seconds, the VR had notified him again. "Welcome to the VR game. This is your base where you could select the match you wish to play and the opponent you want to fight. You are currently at rank 2000, win 50 games to reach rank 1000, win 50 more games to reach rank 500. Once you have reached rank 500, you will be required to fight different opponents with different ranks. Note that number 1 is the highest rank with the strongest player. The higher the rank, the stronger the player. It is a battle of survival. You will be promoted to the ranks of each player you defeat. Example, you are ranked 50 and you manage to defeat a player at rank 20, you will instantly be promoted to rank 20 while the player you defeated will be demoted to rank 50. It is like switching ranks, only the survivor could be promoted. After these things had been explained, the VR had showed him a list of magics that are available to use in the game. The VR had labeled the list as Magic Tab section. He was able to see over thousands of different magic he could use. Although he noticed that only 5 were free to use, the others had been grayed out. He wondered why it had grayed out, and had clicked on the grayed ones, but the VR gave a disapproval beeping. Sorry, you are not allowed to use this magic. It didn't state any reason why he couldn't use the magic. Is it because I'm a new player or what? Kevin wondered, but there was no answer to his question. Perhaps Lexa would know. Kevin concluded. Out of all the magics, he saw that only 5 of it was free to use. And they include fire, water, ice, lightning, light magics. He decided to choose lightning, but before he did so, he wanted to see if he could use his lightning magic in the game. He lifted his right arm and a spark of lightning could be seen forming between his hands. That's proof that I can use my magic in the game, although the game can't register it. Kevin smiled, but he smiled more widely when he realized that he could change the magic he selects from the Magic Tab section anytime he wishes. Then I'll be choosing a different magic for the game, he said as he flashed a smile at the notification tab. Thanks for the power stones and golden tickets, guys. Let's get to the top 200. We're currently at rank 1000 for the power stone. Note that it will all reset by November 59, GMT +8 today. Please support with your power stones and golden tickets too. This is the first chapter for the mass release. Chapter 25. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 25. Battle Arena. Finally he selected a magic, and it was a fire magic. It was one of the magics he loves and had long awaited to use. After selecting the fire magic, he checked out the other things that are required to do before he could start the game, and when everything has been cleared out, he went to the friend list tab and searched for Lexa's username, Lexlord. You have a pending friend request from Lexlord. Accept, deny. She must have been waiting for me. He accepted her friend request and a room invite was sent to him from Lexa. He accepted the room invite and the game notified him of the success. Room invite accepted, transporting the player in 3, 2, 1. Then in an instant, Kevin had been transported to another empty white room, only this time someone was in the room. Lexa was the one in the room, but she looks different. She was in some kind of war suit which was purple in color, and on her head was a golden helmet. She looked like a superhero that was about to go for a fight. Wow, Lexa, you look amazing. Lexa interrupted. You look different. How were you able to change dress? Kevin was surprised, cause he didn't see this option when he was creating his game account. You change your attire by clicking your profile on the menu tab. The game allows you to change your character, which is your avatar, so you can make it look like whatever you want. The clothes I was wearing was something human heroes wore in their world. This feature wasn't removed by our scientists, so I was able to see more of their dresses. Although they cost credits, but you know I wouldn't worry about that. I can transfer a few credits to you if you want to change your attire. You don't have to do that. I can just spend my 10 credits on it since I have nothing to spend it on anyway. Kevin didn't want her paying for his things every time. It seems embarrassing to him and he hated it every time he thinks of how poor he was. How about you watch me play a few games so you could know how the game works? Lexa asked. Sure. Lexa then created a party, where Kevin was able to spectate her match. A battle arena was formed in the middle of the white room as 4 stands appeared. Kevin was then teleported to the seating area in one of the stands. Spectators would be able to spectate as the match goes on. Not only Kevin but other players can leave and appear at the spectating area at will. After everything has been set, it was time for Lexa to find an opponent. She was at rank 785, she had played the first 50 games and had gotten to rank 1000, now she's midway playing the second 50 games. Once a match has been completed, her rank increases. Finally, she found an opponent to fight and both players had been transported into the battle arena. They were standing opposite each other. While Lexa was a female, her opponent was a male. Lexa had her magic set to fire although her true magic was ice. Kevin could see a big countdown appear over the arena. When the countdown reached 0, the match immediately began. Lexa was going up against a male opponent with light magic. Light magic was really rare among players although it was strong and could be used to blindfold your opponent during a fight. The two players had started fighting and both were punching and defending each of their attacks so well. They had been doing this for a while and none of them had used their magic. But at the time when Lexa's opponent was ready to use his ability, she could sense it and could see that her opponent wasn't able to control the magic well enough. Lexa then charged in and at the same time her opponent had charged at her, she was about to land a punch that her opponent activated the light magic and the light immediately blindfolded her, making her lose target. And before she could realize it, her opponent had landed a punch of his own. A sound could be heard in the arena and the player thought he had punched Lexa but unfortunately, his fist only hit the air but before he could realize this, he had been punched by Lexa. Lexlord wins, this is not my first time fighting people like you. Lexa scoffed as her opponent was transported out of the arena. She knew her opponent would use his light to blindfold her, so she had gotten ready and had closed her eyes immediately the light magic was activated. She bent to the ground, spun her body around and appeared at her opponent's back. Since the light magic only affects those standing in front of the user, Lexa decided to attack him at the back, where she won't be affected by the light. She punched his back with a lot of force, hoping to bring down his health back at once. And it worked. The match didn't last long though, as it was clear that Lexa had the greater experience when it came to fighting. The match had only lasted a total of 6 minutes but while watching the game Kevin started to figure out how it worked. Thanks for the P.S and golden tickets. We're ranked 1000 for Power Stones. We can make it to the top. Why? Because I have a lot of supportive readers. This is the second chapter for the mass release, I'll be dropping the remaining 2 to 3 chapters a bit late. Chapter 26 You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 26. The second floor above each player's head was a health bar. But there was no way to show how much health each player had. Judging by what Lexa had said this was most likely because everyone had a different set of health depending on what the VR headset was able to read from the body. The next thing he noticed was the fact that there wasn't actually any damage done to the player. When Lexa punched her opponent, the system would cause the player to react to these, either startling the player but it wouldn't permanently damage the person like it would have done in real life. Similar to a game it would treat hits on vital parts as a critical hit but the player could continue to fight like normal as long as their HP didn't hit 0. After that Kevin continued to watch Lexa play a few more games and before they knew it their time was up. Although Kevin still have the time to play today, he decided to shift it till tomorrow. Although he couldn't wait to try out the game tomorrow. Now that he has found an equipment that would make him grow stronger, it is his chance to grab the opportunity. Tomorrow is Sunday, so he still have the whole day before lecture begins on Monday morning. Maybe after lunch he could return to play the game but right now he was hungry and Lexa also said she had something to show him after lunch. Luckily, there weren't many students on the queue as it was just a few minutes to the lunch time. Kevin and Lexa had received their foods and after eating, Lexa had asked Kevin to follow her to the library. All Kevin's thought was maybe she wanted to read a book or something but it had surprised him when she saw her heading for the second floor that wasn't meant for students of their level. Lexa, where are you going? He suddenly called out when he saw that she was about to climb up the stairs. Lexa sighed as she walked down the stairs and took him to a corner for an explanation. I know what I'm about to do is so risky, but I assure you no one is going to challenge us. I've tried it a few times and here I am, safe and sound. No one could know since it's a Saturday. We're all dressed in our casual clothes, so they'll think we're one of them. But, the floor is for pure mage and spell wizard students, what if they are able to spot that we're different from them? Kevin asked, unsure of Lexa's plan. That floor is meant only for pure mage students. That's the real reason why I want to go up there. Things that aren't on this floor are up there. Come on Kevin, don't worry. I'll cover up with my parents' name. Just follow me. He sighed externally and gave in to her request. Alright, no problem. Although Kevin was a bit scared of what might happen to them if they get caught, one part of him was willing to take the risk as long as he'll find the book about trilling in his system. The two students then hopped on the stairs and started climbing to the second floor. But as they walked up the stairs, someone had spotted them. Is that not my cute Kevin? Lena said as he saw the side view of Kevin's face as he climbed up the stairs. She had immediately recognized him from afar, but she then came to her senses. Wait, the second floor is meant only for pure mage students, why is he heading up there? Did he got promoted or what? And who was that lady that held his hands? Lena had started heating with jealousy and she didn't know when she dashed towards the stairs to catch up with the two students. She sneaked silently behind the two as she waited to see who the girl was before approaching Kevin. Her mouth opened wide when she saw that the lady was someone she knew. Which book are you searching for? Kevin asked as he noticed Lexa looking through the section where comic books and superhero stories were kept. This. Lexa replied as she finally got the book she had been searching for all day. The book was a superhero comic book that was titled Miss Trouble. It was her favorite story ever since she was young, but she couldn't find the book when she grew up. It was written by a human writer, which makes it difficult to purchase since it's not sold in their world. She begged her sister, Lena, to buy a copy for her when she leaves for the human world. But Lena forgot to buy the story, or so did she say. Lexa knew she was lying, cause she was totally against the idea of her reading human superhero books. She said they were all untrue and humans only cared for their stingy selves. But no matter how much Lexa argued that humans are good, Lena would always argue back and she disliked her for that reason. Thanks for the power stones and golden tickets guys, let's get to the top 200. We're currently at rank 1000 for the power stone. Note that it will all reset by November 59, GMT +8 today. Please support with your power stones and golden tickets too. This is the third chapter for the mass release. I'll be dropping the 2 remaining chapters later. Chapter 27. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 27. I won't regret this, sister. Kevin blinked as he saw Lexa brought out a comic book. Are you serious? You came here for a comic book? He bent closer to her as he whispered into her ears. You risked coming here for a comic book. Yes, you may not understand, but this book means a lot to me. Not the comic book but the story itself. Sorry if I make you feel disappointed. Anyways, why don't you pick a book, let's get out of here. Kevin sighed as he glanced at Lexa before moving towards another section that had the name tag, Science and Technology Book section. He was hoping to find something about his system and the trilling thing. So he started looking through the books. After Lena saw that Kevin had went to another book section located at a different area in the library and Lexa was all alone, she decided to see her. Eddie E.T., oh my goodness. Lexa exclaimed as she saw Lena appear to her all of a sudden. What are you doing here? She asked as she held her chest with her right hands to calm herself down. The question is, what are you doing here? This is not your floor, and you know you might be punished for crossing your boundaries. Keep it down, do you want them to know now that you're shouting? See, I know what I'm doing is wrong, but I need to get out of here safely. Not because of me but because of my roommate I brought with me. He's innocent and just followed me because I begged him to. Lena begged. Kevin, right? Yeah, Kevin. Wait, how did you know? So you brought that cute guy to be punished because of some stupid comic book? Lena said as she hit the book that was with Lexa away. Lexa got angry as she saw her precious comic book got thrown away to the ground. She immediately grabbed her sister on the neck and pushed her against the wall, freezing her as she frowned her face with anger. She froze her whole body and refroze it once again. She didn't stop as she doubled the freezing, making it hard for her to free herself with whatever means she could use. She didn't froze her eyes, but she covered her mouth so she won't be able to call for anyone's help till the next day when the sun rises and melts the ice. Lena struggled to set herself free, but it was impossible. Serves you right, sister. Don't you dare interfere into my matter ever again. I definitely won't ask for your help whatsoever. And I'm sure I won't regret this action. She quickly left her sister frozen to the wall of the library and went to meet Kevin. Hey, are you done? She asked as she approached Kevin. I can't find any good books of my choice, but I think these two would do. Kevin replied as he showed the two books to Lexa. Okay, I've seen it. Let's get out of here now, she said. Even though Kevin was wondering why she was in a haste, he recalled that they weren't on the right floor and might be punished if they get caught. He couldn't ask any question for he thought perhaps maybe someone had saw them. So he followed after Lexa as they exited the library through another path, different from where they had came from. Lexa didn't want Kevin to see Lena if they passed through the comic book section, so she made Kevin exit the library through another section of the library. That way, she'll be able to teach her sister a lesson of not interfering into her life matters. She had wanted to teach her a lesson before now, but her parents were always there to defend her sister and she wouldn't be allowed to use her ice magic on her sister, but seeing an opportunity today, she decided to grab it. She made sure the ice was 5 times stronger so it will take a lot of heat before it could melt down. The two students exited the library as they started making their way towards the hallway, undecided on where to go next. Why didn't you want us to stay in the library? We could just stay at the first floor and read the books we took from the second floor. Kevin asked as the two sluggishly walked through the hallway of the school. I don't feel easy staying in the library. Not after we took books that wasn't meant for us to read on our floor. So you just realized what you did was bad? Kevin murmured to himself. Huh, what do you say? Lexa asked as she couldn't hear what he was saying. No, not you, I was talking to myself. I'm thinking of where we should go next. Oh, how about we go to the school garden, we can read the books we took and have a nice evening together. I took 3 comic books with me, I can read it to your hearing instead of that boring science book you'll be reading. That's great then. I guess I'll be reading these later. Kevin said as he placed the books by his side. Kevin and Lexa then decided that it would be best that they spend their evening at the garden, reading comic books. They walked for a while but just before they exited the hallways, a group of students that seemed to be new students as them were standing at the path leading towards the school garden. It was obvious that they knew most students would be heading for the garden in the evening. There were 3 of them in total and on their hands were access cards waiting to be credited. Thanks for the power stones and golden tickets, we're at golden ranking number 724. Let's get to the top 200. Please support with your gifts too. This is the 4th chapter for mass release. Thank you. Please don't forget that all golden tickets resets on a start of a new month and power stones resets every week. Chapter 28. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 28. God. Damned bullies. End of mass release. What are we going to do? The 6 dragons asked for 200 credits by the end of this week. That means we'll have to collect credits from 20 students and so far, we have collected from 5 students. 15 students more to go. One of the boys said. The 6 dragons were students like them but they were like a leader over the 3 students. They walk all in 6 and were called the 6 dragons. I know, why did they have to pick on us, just because we're weaker than them? Another boy replied. Even though they were at military school, they still needed credits to spend on things they want. There were still restaurants and shops and even fun activities and games to play all around the school. If you wanted to do these things you would have to pay with credits. Students received free food while at the school, but they also received a daily amount of 10 credits that would be sent to their access cards. The students were able to get more credits by performing well on missions, school activities, and rewards. Kevin and Lexa could see the students chatting amongst each other, but they continued to walk past the boys to head to the garden. That's when one of the boys called out to them. "Wait, stop right there you two," the boy shouted. Lexa and Kevin ignored them and carried on walking. "Hey, are you guys listening? I said stop," the boy said. Then another boy immediately got in front of Kevin and pushed him and Lexa back to where the other boys were standing. "Are you ignoring us or what? Do you need a beating before you come to your senses?" the boy said, and the others made Kevin and Lexa kneel on the ground. "Hand over 10 credits each and you can go on." Lexa was annoyed and so was Kevin. "But that's all the credits we have," Lexa said in a harsh tone. "Look, I don't want to do this, but if I don't, I will be punished badly. Hand over the credits now." Lexa looked at Kevin, wondering what he would do next, maybe spark them up with his lightning or something. Meanwhile, Kevin was wondering if he could win a fight against these guys. He didn't know what their magics were. Would he and Lexa be able to fight these 3 students? Won't he be worried about protecting Lexa? And even still, they were in a public place. There are other students and soldiers passing by, although they didn't interfere even though they saw them kneeling before these students. He then decided to fight them. No one would blame him if he kills any one of the students, but as he was about to tell Lexa to get ready for a fight, she had immediately whispered to his ears. "Let's give them what they want, they seem so pitiful. It looks like they are in need of money," Lexa said, and as Kevin wanted to talk to her to change her decision about the matter, he saw her present her access card to them. He couldn't stop her anymore. Kevin then decided that it would be better off to just hand over the credits anyway. It was better than losing a fight and forcing the credits over. Just then Kevin received a system message. Suddenly, Kevin wanted to test out his chances. The idea of gaining additional EXP and leveling up even further became really attractive to him, but Kevin wouldn't let his greed win him over. Right now there were 3 students in front of them, but the system had only asked him to defeat one of them, which means only one of them is stronger than him. If his theory is right, the system would only grant him quests to fight strong opponents. One thing that he need to do is to find out which one was named Bryce among the 3 students. He couldn't just be asking them who is Bryce, or it will seem suspicious. In the end, Kevin decided to hand over the 10 credits. Lexa placed her access card into the machinery device that looks like an ATM machine and then transferred 10 credits to them. Kevin ended up doing the same and the 2 of them were allowed to leave. "Hey, that was a great idea, man," one of the boys said. "Should we just stay out here until we find more weaker students again?" "What?" Lexa and Kevin said at once. They had walked a bit far from where the guys were, but they could still hear their conversations. "Are you hearing what I'm hearing?" Lexa asked, and Kevin nodded. "I know those guys are bullies," he said. Lexa had thought that once they had paid them, the boys would stop and go away, but it looked like they were turning it into bullying. "So you thought they were going to leave? They made us kneel down because they were goddamn bullies and credit snatchers," Kevin said. "People aren't to be trusted then," Lexa concluded in her mind. Kevin suddenly stopped and waited. He had something in mind to do. "Wait here, Lexa, I'll be back." "Hey, what's wrong?" "You forgot something," the boys said as they saw Kevin approaching them. End of mass release. Thanks for all the P.S and GTs, I'm grateful. Please, I need 10 reviews from you guys. I may think of doing another mass release if you drop the reviews. Chapter 29. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 29. A gay. Hey, you forgot something. The boys asked. Kevin stood in front of the three students. His hands were in the pockets of his trousers. Or maybe someone forgot something among you guys, he replied to their questions, his hands were still hidden inside his pocket. What is it? Did you find something? One of the boys asked. I guess so, I found something at the domain of the 6 dragons and what I found belongs to one of you. Then hand it over. Another student shouted. Hey, calm down, I'm being nice at the moment. Or do you want me to show what I found to the public? I assure you, it's a total mess that could get you imprisoned for eternity. It's a real bad crime. The students got anxious and fearful at the same time, and they couldn't wait to see what Kevin found. Show us what it is, one of the students said. How many of us? Another pointed out. We are not showing it to anybody except the owner. Just hand it over to the owner, please. Another student said, begging Kevin. Kevin noticed all the 3 students. Each had an attitude which was quite different from each other. But he noticed that among them was a student who was calm and unafraid of what was about to happen. Although he said please in one of his sentences, it shows that he is acting cool and mature than the others. So Kevin guessed that the student might be who he's searching for. Well, I won't show what I found to the owner yet. I will need him to follow me to a very secretive place where there are no people around. He won't want his secret to be exposed. Just call the name, the person will go wherever you want him to go, said the one that Kevin suspected to be their leader. That's a promise, or I won't show anyone what I found. I have another copy in my room and that is the original copy. If you steal the one with me, it'll be deleted automatically in 20 minutes. Kevin said. Okay, it's a promise. The student said. Okay, since you've promised to follow me to a silent place, I'll want the person to bring the creditor with him. Kevin was talking about the device that transfers credits from student's access card to another. It is a two-way opening that allows 2 access cards to be placed at the same time. One at the right side and the other at the left side. The students agreed and finally, Kevin called the name of the students according to who the system told him to fight. Bryce, we have a discussion. Follow me. Kevin called out and for a moment, the students froze, it came as a shock to them. Bryce. 2 of the students exclaimed. Kevin blinked as he wondered if he had called the wrong name. Perhaps he was fooled by the system. What is wrong, am I being fooled by an imaginary system in my mind? I swear I will kick this system off my head if he happens to be playing tricks on me. Kevin said in his mind as he prayed silently for the best. He couldn't believe he called the name of the God that his father worships. Hell, why am I shaking with fear? The students are not going to fight me. Kevin said as he tried to act more bolder to drive his fears away. Why? Are you surprised that I called Bryce? He asked. It was just as he had thought. The guy who was acting all superior was Bryce. He had a long black hair just like every other male elves and was at the same height with Kevin, only slightly chubbier. He stepped forward as he heard Kevin call his name. I'm doing as promised, I have the creditor with me and I'll follow you to wherever you want me to go. Is it okay with you? Bryce asked. Sure, follow me. But only you. Your friends or gang or whatever are not. Kevin replied as he walked with his hands hidden in his pocket, towards the bushy area that was closer to where they were. Lexa was still standing at the place where Kevin had left her. She was wondering what Kevin was talking about with the students. She wanted to go over to him but decided to stay put and watch. But her curiosity got over her when she saw Kevin and the Bryce walk down the school for the bushy path leading to a bushy area. What is Kevin trying to do? Lexa wondered, but she didn't seem understand him. He just said he's coming and then left her side only to follow another guy to another place when they had plans to go to the garden. Kevin left me for a male elf. Didn't he consider the fact that I'm a female? Females are not to be disrespected like he's doing to me right now. Oh. Lexa exclaimed as she came to a realization. Is he gay? Her mouth was opened wide and her hands failed to do the jobs on covering her mouth due to how wide it was. Sorry guys, I was unable to upload any chaps yesterday. There was a poor network throughout yesterday and we just had them fixed back to normal. Chapter 30. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 30. Pill. Note, Bryce plays a role in the story, that's why I had to talk on what happened to him before coming to the academy. He's like an antagonist to Kevin and will still be a greater antagonist to Kevin in the future. Please, all characters I mention in this story each have their own periods and roles. I may explain about his past, but it is a very crucial information you need to know. Thank you *****. The two boys had walked a distance away from the others. They were now hidden deeper inside the bush. Kevin stopped and Bryce also stopped walking. His brows creased and a deep line formed across his face. He had the intention of punching Kevin if he's to show him something useless. Not only punching, he would make sure he regret ever playing tricks on him. He took a quick glance at Kevin from head to toe. He looked so skinny to be an elf having magic. If he would guess, he's someone who couldn't control his magic. He doubt he was able to learn any magic cause he looks like a total trash compared to him. And what is the thing you found? Bryce asked with a prideful spite. Kevin sucked his lips as he breathed outward to calm himself. He would have sworn he saw the anger he has been holding in, steam out of his nostrils. He blinked twice before replying Bryce. He checked his system quest again and a grin formed on his mouth as he stared at the message. Now is the time to grab those quest rewards. Bryce, get ready to be defeated. Kevin grinned inwardly as he suddenly started walking towards Bryce. Bryce got scared at once as he saw Kevin walking towards him. He started taking steps backwards as Kevin got closer to him at a fast rate. Hiding behind the thick bushes, Lexa's eyes fluttered open in amazement as she saw Kevin advancing towards Bryce. Oh my God! Kevin is going towards the male elf. Is he going to kiss him or what? Are they going to strip themselves like they do in movies? No, I can't watch. Lexa cried to herself. She used the palm of her hands to cover her face but she still peeped through to see what was going on. Kevin received the information as his eyes locked with Bryce's. The system had shown him every details about the opponent he's about to face, which is quite awesome. He would prepare himself for the worst once he discovers what his opponent is capable of. But he's not sure if the system shows him this notification when he fights an opponent or maybe only if he looks directly into their eyes. Anyways, he would have other quests and would be required to fight other opponents. He would check out which one is the fact among the two theories. Without warning, Kevin had gave Bryce a punch in the stomach which came as a shock to Bryce himself. Yes. Kevin screamed inwardly as his face beamed with joy upon successfully taking 5 points away from Bryce at the very first attempt. It seems like I'm strong enough to fight an elf at level 2. This wouldn't be a bother to me anymore. Kevin smiled happily. What just happened? Lexa blinked repeatedly as she scrubbed her eyes to see if she wasn't seeing illusions. She really couldn't believe her eyes. She had misinterpreted Kevin for being a gay, but it turns out that he had other plans. He wasn't a gay but wanted to take his revenge on the guy who took his credits, his only credits for the day. He didn't spend the credits on changing his character in the VR game and someone had suddenly approached them and had took their credits away. Lexa could now understand what it means to be bullied. She promised that from now on, she would trust Kevin's actions and judgment. At the very least, she won't name him a gay next time. It was a good thing Kevin hadn't heard her call him a gay. Shit, am I going to use my reckless actions to spoil another new relationship again? No, Kevin is mine and mine alone. I won't give in to anything that will make me doubt him like I did to my other 15 ex-boyfriends. He. She said, pouting her lips forward. Bryce had his hands holding onto his stomach where he had been hit by Kevin. As he saw Kevin approaching him, he had a hint that he was planning to do something, but he didn't imagine that he would be attacking sooner. He spat out blood as he recalled all the past martial arts he had learnt and the hand-to-hand teachings he had received from different black belt masters. Unfortunately, he couldn't anticipate Kevin's attack even though he saw it coming. He couldn't help but recall the past abuses and insults he received from his father, who spent countless amount of money just for him to become a strong elf in the future. But he just didn't know why he is so weak and undoubtedly useless. Like he's the most useless son any elf parents ever had. He clenched his fists as he recalled the most hated part of all, when his one and only elf girlfriend called him a spoilt and useless brat and waste of money on the day she broke up with him. He grinned with anger as cleaned the blood stain of his mouth and suddenly dashed at Kevin. After getting insulted by his girlfriend, he came to realize that he's totally a worthless scum who deserves to be killed by hanging. So he decided to hang himself by a tree that was by the riverside. But luckily for him, someone stopped him before attempting to do so. He couldn't see the face of the person because he had a mask on, but the person handed a pill to him after he explained why he wanted to kill himself. As soon as the person gave him the pill, he had immediately walked away, and Bryce hadn't seen him ever since that day. He wondered what work the pill did, and as he consumed it, he couldn't believe it could work miracles. And that was the reason why he's here today.